Live.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Joe, do you want to know why some businesses succeed and some businesses fail? Why some businesses grow and some businesses don't? That's what this show is all about. Business, business, business.
All right. Welcome back to the Lost Dollar Business Club.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. This is a very special show for us.
It is. Here. Yeah. This is my favorite show so far that we've ever done because it's all about Scotch and whiskey and
artisanal spirits.
Artisanal spirits, and we're going to drink on this show. I know that because I can see one of our guests already drinking. So we're going to do a little extra longer intro because he'll be plateaued. It'll be great. It'll be like, tell us about whiskey. This is wonderful. I love all of you. Now, they're not brand ambassadors that we're bringing on. They are called, I'm sorry, one more time, Michael.
Membership coordinators? Are they membership?
No, they handle your member. That's all I heard. There's something about a member. So they're going to handle the members, which I'm very before we start, I just want to say something about China because that's John's favorite country. Today, the Chinese military said, because Taiwan, as you know, is going to the elections, and they said if you do any independence, we're just going to come and invade your country. So no
independence allowed. So
no independence allowed in China. I just thought we'd get that out there in the open because by Saturday that this show's taping and airing on. By then, Taiwan may be part of China. So if it is, I want to be ahead of the curve. So I want to say, welcome to China. And if they fight back, I'm going to say, keep a good fight. So there you go.
It would appear that they've already asked lots of young people in Taiwan, and they're more concerned about having a job than they are about being invaded by China. So that's So there you go.
Yeah, the lay flat movement. The lay flat movement. You've read about that?
Those are girlfriends. Stop. So that's that movement. So all right. So thanks for keeping up, John.
God.
Anyway, so we're very excited to have.
Yeah. What society do we have here, Stephen?
We have
the Scotch Malt Whisky Society.
Yes, the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, which goes under many names. The Illuminati, the Lizard People, no. The Scotch Malt Whisky Society. They also have a branch out of the UK and whatnot, where it started. They're on the London Stock Exchange. They have about 40,000 members worldwide. So we're going to bring in their two. I'm going to call them brand ambassadors, so I have to apologize for that, or member services people, and they're going to kind of give us an overview of whiskeys, an overview of the group. If you want to join, maybe they let you, maybe they don't. It's a secret society. There's a handshake and everything. I got in last week and I'm still learning the handshake. But I think it'll be fascinating for people because we talk about Scotch and cigars so much. I thought it'd just be interesting for the views.
Some people do, Stephen.
Some people do.
I thought it'd be interesting for our people. Yeah, John.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Thanks for following us.
I was waiting for there.
Something profound. All right, we're going to bring in Scott and we're going to bring in Lynn. So let's welcome them to the show.
Right,
and there's Scott and there's Lynn.
Yeah.
They're brand ambassadors.
Scott.
So yeah. So
I'm a token Asian. Stephen just found me and randomly called me, so I'm pretending to be an ambassador.
The thing is that Steve, the alcohol is actually affecting his brain now, so he just so misfires a lot of the time.
Or a more efficient fire. Steve's got that going.
It's more efficient, my fire.
We hope next week we've got even more guests, and then Stephen will fall off the screen completely. So
I can fall off at any time. So let's start. Michael, do you have any questions? If not, we're going to let Scott kind of give or Lynn give an overview of the company, but I know you did your research, so I know you probably have some stuff.
Let's do the overview, but I'm very curious to know about how we're talking about not just whiskey, but the experiences around the world and how the club has evolved. It sounds like there's been a big evolution going international, and I'm sure there are a lot of new, different experiences that you're offering, and I'm very curious to know what those are.
I'll start. So yeah, the Scotch Malt Whisky Society started in Scotland in the 1980s. The founder is Pip Hills is his name. Him and a buddy went to what came to be Glenfarclas and wanted to buy a cask of whiskey. And Glenfarclas, it was kind of new at the time. They didn't know people coming wanting to just buy a whole cask of whiskey. And so Glenfarclas, which is distillery number 1, sold Pip Hills a cask of whiskey. Pip and his buddy took it home and they started sharing it with buddies, and straight out of the cask, not diluted. So cask strength whiskeys, no water added, and a single cask of whiskey as well. And people were like, that is amazing. The next time you do that, we want to get in on it with you. And so it grew and grew and grew. There's over 35,000 members currently in the UK. We just crossed the 7,000 member path, or numbers in the United States. There are chapters in Germany, Australia, Canada, and Japan as well. So, but UK and then the US are the 2 biggest ones.
Well,
Scott, you said if I may, Scott, you said number 1. So for the people that don't understand what that means, you may want to explain, or Lynn, one of you may want to explain what you say number 1, what actually number 1 means. Because for John, that means something totally different at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
So this is one of our bottles, and we source whiskeys for our members. We're working with around 200 distilleries right now worldwide. We do a handful of rums, armagnacs, cognacs, bourbons, ryes, American single malts, Canadian whiskeys, Irish whiskeys. 99% of ours, though, are single malt Scotch whiskeys. So this is one of our bottles. This is a black label, a little bit older. This is a Cragganmore, 19-year-old Cragganmore. Right here on the label, you can see 37.138. The 37 means that's the 37th distillery that we sourced whiskey from, and then the 138th cask that we bought from that distillery. So we're real open, transparent. We put our distillation date, cask types on here, age of the whiskey, ABV. This one is 56.4% ABV and was double matured in an ex-bourbon hogshead and then a first fill ex-Pedro Jimenez hogshead. So we name our tasting panel in Scotland names the whiskey, provides some brief tasting notes. There's more tasting notes on our product pages on our website. So in the United States, we're all web-based. We don't have a physical store. We're an annual membership club for Scotch drinkers. You don't have to be a serious Scotch drinker. We have a lot of new people coming into whiskey that join the society just to explore whiskeys. But annual membership with an annual renewal, and then you have access to our whiskeys. So that's kind of the gist of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society.
So let's start with Lynn. Lynn, so how did you get started in it? And then we'll ask Scott how he got started in it. Because I think I know kind of both of your backstories. So to me, it's fascinating how you went from what you guys were doing to where you are today.
So a little over a decade ago, I was a social worker, and I didn't start drinking as a result of that. But I woke up one morning and my first thought was I should use whiskey as a muse to write poetry. And I thought, this is really random. So I went to a bar and there were ambassadors talking about whiskeys. And I thought, this is really cool. You get to approach this from a pedagogical point of view. And so it quickly reminded me of 20th century literature. So I'm a huge fan of that time period because there's a lot of this sort of binary juxtaposition between something very aggressive and soft. And I think whiskey really imbues that sort of spirit. And after sipping whiskey for a whole year, I quit social work and I backpacked to Scotland solo, made it out to Highland Park and Orkney Islands, and then to Lefroy on Islay, which really made my parents proud, obviously. And I continue to disappoint them every single day. And that's how I got into the industry. So, yeah.
Very cool. And Scott, your background is very interesting because you're going to apparently go to Argentina and help blow up Nazi buildings to find the gold with John. So tell us about your background.
I was backpacking across Argentina.
Yeah, there you go. So.
There you go. Yeah.
No, I'm a retired police officer here in Wichita, Kansas, and a buddy of mine, we're getting into whiskey about the same time, around 2005, 2006, and we were working together. He's on the police department, was on the police department as well. I'm retired now, but we were looking for whiskey. It's early now. It's about 2010, 2011. We're looking for whiskey information on YouTube, and we find Ralphie. We find a handful of other channels and we're watching them, and it's 2013 now. And Bart and I decide, hey, you know, we can do that. We can kind of document our whiskey journey, our getting into whiskey, post, you know, whiskey reviews on YouTube. That was 2013. We started, fast forward through 2021, early 2021. I'm looking at retiring from law enforcement, and I reached out to, we had collaborated with the Scotch Malt Whisky Society quite a bit. And what I liked with them is that they work with so many distilleries. I could still continue reviewing whiskeys on YouTube without any conflict of interest, because we work with just about everybody out there. There's only a handful of distilleries that don't sell single cask whiskeys. So if Bart and I, my partner, were talking, you know, we could talk Macallan, we could talk Ardbeg, we could talk Lefroy, we could talk Elijah Craig. There wouldn't be any conflict of interest because we work with, you know, all these distilleries. And I liked what the Scotch Malt Whisky Society was doing. I love their whiskeys. And so early 21, I had reached out and I just asked Ben Diedrich, one of the senior directors. I was like, hey, if I retired later this year, would you guys have a job for me? And he said, absolutely. So here I am. And I started late 21 with the Scotch Malt Whisky Society.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Have you, so so that's, I mean, those are both great and very interesting backstories there. What do you think about the membership itself? How has the membership grown and evolved since you came on board? And is there kind of a target audience or a target demographic, or just the kinds of members that you're looking to bring on?
No, I mean, really no target. And we don't advertise. We're all word of mouth. Just people sharing whiskey, because we do produce some pretty good whiskeys, and I have no problem telling people some of the best whiskeys you're going to have in your life will come from us, because we do source. We've got a warehouse in Scotland with over 15,000 casks in it. And we may go to Glenfarclas at a time and say, hey, we want 20, 30, 40 casks, something like that we'll take back, put into our warehouse. We may we're buying our own casks as well. We're doing a lot of double maturation.
You need to explain a lot of these terms.
Yeah.
Let's talk about double maturation again, because remember, there's only, out of this whole group, there's maybe 3 of us that know what you're talking about, and the others are looking at you like the RCA dog. And we have however many people we have worldwide, because they're Wall Street guys and VC guys. They all think they know whiskey or Scotch,
well,
but they only know it because of a name. So let's educate them as you do this.
Yeah,
and
sorry,
feel free to jump in.
Have to realize that. Yeah, right. So most bourbon has to be aged in brand new charred oak barrels, and that's it.
Okay.
So once a bourbon company uses a cask, they can't use that cask again. It can only be used one time to make bourbon. So take Jim Beam, and they produce millions of bottles of whiskey using probably millions of casks. Once they use a cask, they can't use it anymore. Scotland buys those casks to age their whiskey in. Scotland wants to age their whiskey for 30, 40, 50 years. And you can't do the temperature fluctuations in the States. The combination of that virgin oak, brand new charred oak barrel would just bring in too much influence on the whiskey over that time. So Scotland likes to use those prior used barrels, because a lot of that wood character is already, really strong primary wood character is already gone out of it. So Scotland buys those ex-bourbon casks to age Scotch in. They also use, as long as it's oak, they can use it. So take a sherry wine or a port wine, Pedro Jimenez sherry wine casks are all made from oak. So you've taken, besides just ex-bourbon barrels, you've also taken Oloroso sherry casks or port casks, wine casks. As long as it's made from oak, Scotland will use those as well. So you may take a whiskey that's been aged 10 years in an ex-bourbon cask, and then they'll move it to a Oloroso sherry cask for 2 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, however long. And that's called a double maturation. Yeah. So it's been in 2 types of casks.
And if I can chime in, so imagine when it comes off the still, it looks clear like vodka or water, right? Mm-hmm. So now you need to season it and give it flavor. And bourbon casks, for example, in general, give either those vanillins, that caramel profile, a little bit of the oak, and then a cask that's been exposed to Pedro Jimenez or Oloroso casks will typically offer dark cherries or leather, some tannin notes, etc. And so you're just kind of giving it flavor, just like seasoning meat. You just want to add some salt or some barbecue sauce and what have you. And that's how it changes the color to brown or that deep leathery profile. So you're merging those characteristics together and creating a specific flavor profile.
So what
and I will say to Scott's point,
when they import them? Sorry, Steve. What are they doing with these casks when they import them? Do they just wash them through, or I mean, obviously, or are the casks dry?
There could be a combination. Some of them they allow them to dry out, and some of them they may call it a wet cask, where there was still a little bit of that wine that was soaked into the oak. So that allows it to come through. And I'm just going to pour and show you here the two different whiskeys. So here, the dark one, you can see here, this has been sherry cask matured. And then this one has just been in an ex-bourbon barrel. So that's the difference. You're picking up a lot of the wine influence into this whiskey, which some people love. That's one of my favorite profiles. And then this one is just getting all of the color in whiskey comes from the wood that it's aged in. For the most part, some distilleries do add colorant to make their whiskey look darker. The Scotch Malt Whisky Society does not do that. So these are both natural colored whiskeys here.
Pretty cool. And to Scott's point, I will say that the stuff that I have tried that was recommended by them is probably some of the best Scotch that I've had on the planet.
Wow.
And you guys know, I know, right? You guys know what I drink. So I've been very impressed.
Steven.
I know. I didn't want to say anything, but my consigliere, who's on the bottom left side there, Miss Do, she's the one who said, this is what you should drink based on your pro. And so, yes, she has picked superbly. So one guy, I'm a member for life, so to speak. So yeah, so she's spot on her stuff. So that's why I was fascinated by this, and I thought it would be good for our listeners and our viewers to hear about this, because people like their Scotch and they should know more about it instead of like it's a name.
Stephen, does that mean that when you join this society that you have a mentor then? Is that the way that you guys work?
I don't know what everybody else gets. I know what I got. But I mean, I paid $7 million, and I think you kind of get more when you pay that.
No, but you're saying, yeah, I mean, but if let's say I join tomorrow morning, and I know nothing about whiskey.
Wait. You're going to spend money? Oh, I'm sitting down for this. This is awesome. Okay, go ahead. So, your birthday's coming up. Yes. Here's what happened. And
full disclosure, I wouldn't join because I'm a recovering alcoholic. So that's why I'm not going to join. So,
but anyway, I'm going to join for you.
But if I was to join, would I have a do I have a mentor or somebody that would take me through? Because you're saying, it's got this, it's got that. I mean, how do you know? I mean, you can't see it on the website. You actually have to taste it to move forward with it.
Well, we put a lot of Lynn. I'll let Lynn speak if she wants to. If you want to try to answer that.
Yes, Lynn.
As far as picking flavor profiles for people.
Yeah, how would if a member called in? Can any member call in and ask for recommendations? I mean, if someone called in, how would you talk to them? What would you say? How would you
preferably in English, but but if a member calls in, I mean, hopefully you speak me.
I mess with them and I say, "Hello."
There you go. Right. So
yeah. I basically ask them what they typically like, and then I'll just narrow down in my database like what flavor profiles they'll like, and then I just have it in my pocket. Obviously, if I'm stuck, I'll message you. And that's one of the nice things is that even though it's online and you buy online, you can call one of us and we can talk to you about it, because everybody on the team is genuinely passionate about whiskey. So it's easy. It doesn't feel like work, and it's really exciting. And for members who are interested in talking to us, we have descriptions on the bottles and on the website to tell you what you like. And there's these different, Scott, if you can show us, your bottles are a lot more organized than mine's. There's these, color codes on here that indicate what flavor profile that people will like. So if it's light green to dark green, most likely it's a smoky expression. So that can give you a visual indicator. Okay, I definitely lean towards like the green bottle caps versus the blue, etc.
You notice that all Scotch caps are open, by the way? I'm just not saying. I'm just making a statement there. I'm not pointing anything out. But okay.
Probably 99% of my whiskeys are opened up. I do have a few bottles that are set aside that are duplicates or special Macallans, things like that are going to be collector type things. But no, the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, we have 12 different flavor profiles that are color coded. So Stephen and I, our favorite would be this one right here. This is our deep, rich, and dried fruits. This is most of our sherried whiskeys where our Macallans would end up. The light whiskey that I poured for you came out of this bottle, this is our juicy oak and vanilla profile. A lot of these are just like ex-bourbon cask. So same here, purple is spicy and sweet. And then the green is the peated, which is the smoky whiskey. A lot of people think all Scotches are peated or smoky, and they're not. Really only, I would say 10 to maybe 20% of Scotch whiskeys are peated, which is where they take Islay is a small island off of Scotland. No trees grow there. So centuries ago, for heat in the winter, they would dig up peat bogs, chunks of earth. They would let it dry and they'd burn it in their furnace at home or their fireplace at home for heat. Distilleries started using peat to smoke their barley or to heat their barley to germinate it, so to malt it, to make malted barley. So what ended up happening is when they used that peat, they burned it and they malted that barley. The smoke came through into the barley, it came through into the distillation process, and it ends up in the whiskey. And some people love peat, some people hate it. But anyway, the green is our peated whiskeys. So I don't recommend peated whiskeys to people unless I know they've tried them and they liked them generally. I'm gonna ask a person, and that's Lynn and my job is member relations managers, and there's a lot of members, especially with 7,000 in the States now. And we have people that come in new. We're having a lot of people as well that are bourbon drinkers, and they're kind of getting fed up with the bourbon game right now, and they're switching to Scotch, and they're finding all these different things going on with Scotch. And they'll call up and I'll say, well, what have you drank? What have you liked? If I was talking to Steven, same thing. I think I asked him that the other day. I'm like, well, what's your favorite whiskey? What do you generally drink? And he's like, I love Macallan. And I'm like, well, I love Macallans too. So, but peated whiskeys can be decisive because they can be really strong, that smoky, peaty, barbecue type taste, and people love them or not. Usually I refrain from recommending those to new people unless they're just out there. They really want to try it. They're like, that sounds great. Let me try it. And I'll be like, here you go. So,
yeah. And I think that peated or smoky whiskeys is a little bit misunderstood, like IPA beers. So IPA, typically people will drink it. They're like, oh, this tastes like Bad Life Decision. Well, some people. And it's like it has a lot of like bitter notes. Like think of the pith on a grapefruit. But then you get into Connecticut IPA, and then it's not as bitter, but you get these like kind of soft, fruity profiles. There's still that bitterness. So like with smoky whiskeys, it's very polarizing, whether people love it or they hate it, but they also vary in smoke intensity, and there's different types of smoke. So I like to get really obsessed with details and try to explain to people, there's like mesquite wood smoke, and then there's like charcoal smoke and everything in between. So it doesn't always have to feel like burnt tires and ashtray or what have you. It could have that kind of sweet barbecue. I'm really hungry. I just woke up, so I'm thinking about food right now.
We can tell. It's not going to listen. It doesn't have to taste like barbecue or fried chicken or a nice filet mignon that's Oscared or a lobster. It'll taste different.
Sounds good right now. I don't care. It's 6. I could have fried chicken. There you go.
But I will say that when I did speak with Lynn, she asked me a whole slew of questions. I wasn't sure what she asked me when my last proctology exam was, but that's probably that's just thing they do, I guess. But anyway,
Lynn, what did I tell you about that?
That's right.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, you're good. You don't have to know. But it was interesting. So we went through everything, and then what she had sent was wonderful. And I actually said, I think to David, and I definitely to my wife, and I even said they were better than the Macallans that I've had. So I was very impressed with it. And then I got a little blue box, and Smurfs came in it. And then they sent me another blue box. And in that blue box, you get 2 glasses, a little water pitcher, and a tube that looks like you keep your cocaine in. I'm sure that's for something. And then you get 3 bottles of miniature Scotch, for the midgets in your life. Or in my case, my butler. There you go. That's what you get.
Uh-huh.
And then you can distill it. And I don't like to put water, whether it's a drop or any on my Scotch. I like it like right from the thing, unless it's an inexpensive piece of crap and you have to open up flavors. But their stuff is not. So I've thoroughly enjoyed, and I ordered some more the other day with Lynn. So I thoroughly enjoy this. And I thought, like I said, for the people that are listening, that like, oh, I'm a Scotch. No, you're not. You drink a name. But this way, maybe it'll help you out, and you can like really enjoy Scotch. And we're only drinking 3 brands for 40 years. Now I'm opening up to a whole bunch of brands I would never know. So, and now I have a consigliere that's making sure that I know that there's things out there. So it's very nice. So yeah, it's a good business. And if you go to their website, because you are public, and I know this isn't your thing, but it tells you like your retention of membership. I think your retention is almost like in the high 90s of members. Their cost of acquisition for a member, casket. I mean, you can go into their Qs and Ks on the LSE, London Stock Exchange, and you'll see what their profits are. And it's a great little business. And so whoever came up with it, I know there's other people doing it. This is a wonderful idea. I don't know if distilleries will sell anymore a single to just one person. But I think these kind of groups are good for people that are trying to learn Scotch, and they can have somebody that can guide them other than, their local guy at a pub that doesn't really know. So kudos to you guys.
So when you open up a bottle of whiskey, if you let it sit, does it begin to deteriorate?
It takes there's some factors in there. It can take a long time. Keep it out of direct sunlight. Keep it out of heat. If you keep it in a cooler room, in a darker room, it'll last. I've had whiskeys open for 8, 9, 10 years and they haven't changed. But then I've had some that have changed over a couple of years. And then those are also I've had 2 that changed over time. They were both really low in the bottle where there was only a couple of ounces left, and they were both peated whiskeys. So it was kind of like after time and oxygen and air that those peat phenols, they would call them, kind of broke down or kind of just turned really kind of acidic. Other than that, there hasn't been. I've had it. Like I say, whiskey's open for a long time, and nothing has changed with them. So
to maintain the flavor.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, if somebody wants to be part of this merry little family, so to speak, how do they find you? How do they join? Or is it so secret of a society that they can't? And I'm okay with that too, because I like secret societies, as the boys know. But yeah, so if somebody says, I really want to be part of this, what can they do to like find you or join?
Well, I know. So there's smws.com. Okay. That's the UK. Okay. That's the UK website. If you're in the UK, you can join. You can look up more information. You can join through that. If you're in the United States, it's smwsa.com for smwsa for America.com. Okay. I believe the Canada branch is smws.ca.
Okay.
And that's the only 3 I know. But if you Google, I'm sure if you Googled the SMWS and then Germany, Australia, you'd be able to find more information there. And then Japan.
Okay. So, and if for some reason you guys can't do that, because God forbid you'd have to actually punch things into a keyboard, email us here at the show, and we will get a hold of them to get wherever country you're in, the proper link, the proper this, the proper that, and we'll try to find you your own consigliere. Actually, John will be your consigliere on Scotch. That'll be fun to see what you get. No, I'm just kidding. But it is very, very cool. So what's next for, I guess, the company? And then what's next for you guys? Like, where do you go from here? I mean, not like Lynn's going to go eat breakfast. We already know that. We know that. But after breakfast, Lynn, what are you going to do, Scott? Like, so is this and you're retired, but that doesn't mean you're old. So are you looking at, like, this is the next 20 years you're going to be with these guys, and guys are going to grow this into this global behemoth? Or is this a stepping stone to do something else? Or what do you each think your next plans are?
Lynn, you want to
jump in at once?
Go first.
I mean, I'm here till, as they say, until I get killed or they find somebody else. So
very good. I like that.
My job. So my role is a brand ambassador, not to confuse you, Stephen.
Thank you.
So I'm supposed to grow the California market, either get new memberships or increase sales. So if I do a good job, I get to keep my job. If not, then I get chucked, and then I'll call Steven and ask him if he can hire me to do something.
Sure, we're always looking for people to do stuff. How do you think these guys all got jobs? This Motley crew. This is 12 Stooges here, or Keystone Cops for the people that can go back that far. So, but see, and I want to people that don't know this, and Lynn, if I say something I'm not allowed to say, it's too bad because we don't edit the show. Lynn's also an artist. So she and if I'm not mistaken, that's her art behind her. She has some gorgeous pieces of art, and we've also asked her to come do a show just on her art. So I know she has other interests outside of Scotch, but all her art that I've seen, or even her clothing that she makes, is all, if you will, tied to Scotch, if you will, or Scotch whiskey. So it's very interwoven. So we'll have her not on Lost Dollar Business Club because I don't want the guys to nod off, but we'll probably have her on a TOF classic interview, and she can go over all that, because I think a lot of people will be fascinated by the fashion aspect of what she does with Scotch. So yeah, so they have other interests outside than this, I think, other than the AA meetings. Yeah, other than the AA meetings we'll have to attend. That's mandatory. So, but but that's really cool. Guys, is there anything else? Because if not, we're going to unfortunately have to kick you loose, and then we're going to do something we call Lost and Found. And we know you don't want to stick around for that, so we're not even going to have you do that. So,
what is Lost and Found?
Apparently Lynn will be sticking around for that. Lost and Found is where we each take an article out of the news and we discuss it. David, so most of us pretty serious, and then David will come up with something that, the cows are going to say Pluto, there's a Martian somewhere. I mean, it's so we never know with David, but he has a short way to go when it's his turn, but it's usually for him, it's pretty funny. So your guys are more welcome to stay for that. If not, because you have lives or want breakfast, you can leave. You will not hurt our feelings. But on behalf of all of us, I want to say thank you very much. Like I said, Lynn, I know it's early, so thank you. Scott already told me he was going to be up, so yeah, you could be here. It's okay. But no, we want to thank you guys. I hope you get members out of this, and to your bosses if they see this show, or not if you don't want them to. We want to thank them for letting you guys come on and talk about it, and just kind of give a brief overview of what you guys do and what the club is all about. Like I said, for me, I'm in love with it. I'm, only telling a select few of friends at the Illuminati meetings, so hopefully you'll get some business out of that. Yep. But yeah, it's very cool. I'm very it's a privilege for us to have you on, just so you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We appreciate it as well.
Yeah, and one more thing I'd like to add, and what's special about this society is that, when you go to bars or to different liquor stores, you chase stuff at the core line, and you don't. The nice thing is ours is bottled at cask strength, which means the flavors are really concentrated and strong, and not in an aggressive way, but there's a lot of layers and depth. So sometimes when things get watered down to like 43% or 46%, you might have more of a straightforward whiskey, whereas like what you reach the 120 proof, it's like reading Thomas Pynchon. So there's a lot of characteristics to go through, and that's what I find exciting. And you'll try something like, I didn't even know this distillery can offer this sort of profile. So that's what's neat.
Yep. Very exciting. I think that the bigger thing more for me, and especially from a marketing branding perspective, is the one-on-one communication. Many brands nowadays are trying to hit brands with, or hits their customers with sort of the shotgun approach. We'll just go into marketing and we'll just market to everybody and try and pick up clients that way. I really, from a marketing perspective and from a community management perspective, I think you guys have really got a special thing going where pick up the phone to Steven and you understand what his profile is and really communicating with him. So the brand communicates directly one-on-one to the person. And we've certainly seen from our perspective in agency life over the last 5 to 10 years, the fact that things are really, really turning over to that one-on-one communication. And I think no matter what, that's really special. So really kudos to you guys for keeping that going and talking one-on-one. So I'm super impressed, and it's a brand I'm going to follow quite closely to see how it grows from here. So excited. Well done.
They want you to drink, Nick. They don't want you to follow it. They want you to drink it. They don't make money if you follow. I don't know if you get that. We make money if people follow. They sell stuff. Yeah, that's right.
Why are you Scotch blocking yourself? My God.
How do you think agencies and creatives stay good to go till like 3-4 in the morning? Come on, Steve. There's got to be a little bit of injection of something in there.
I'm from Wall Street. How do you think we keep going till 4 in the morning? So except John. John would not off at noon in the afternoon, but we still love him. So there you go. John, you look thrilled. Thanks for staying awake. So guys, is there anything else for our guests? Like I said, you're more than welcome to stay for Lost and Found, but if not, we totally understand because we don't even want to be here for that part. But our fans do like it, so we want them to enjoy that. But we do thank you once again. We'll put not their contact, but we'll put the website below in the links. If you like what you heard, you want them back, let us know. We'll bring them back. I know Scott's going to come on. I think No Snobs and Knobs at some point. We're going to actually drink on that show and smoke cigars, which David's going to be thrilled. Lynn, you can come too. David's going to be thrilled because it's because she's like, no, it's too early.
No, it's not that. I enjoy hearing Scott talk. So we do YouTube tastings together, and I'll forget to talk because I enjoy hearing him and what he has to say. And then he's like, "Come on, say something." So,
that's all right. That's why when we do your fashion and art, it'll just be you, and then you're going to have to talk the whole time.
Oh God.
Okay, good. Glad we can help you out. So, guys, it was a pleasure. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for your time today. We'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.
Cheers.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Welcome to this week's Lost and Found, uncovering dollar winners and losers, where we discuss dollars lost and dollars gained by various companies and projects.
Oh,
Steve, that's got to be one of Steven's favorite shows. I
have a chubby. That's all I can say. Yes, I have a chubby. I am happy. If it wasn't as cold as it was, I would have been outside with a scotch and a cigar, enjoying every moment of that. That was great. All right.
Okay,
all right,
why
listen.
don't you do the show?
What?
I mean, really, you just
There's
babble the
a
whole
delay
time.
there.
Yeah.
All right, Nazi Gold. What do you got for us?
Yeah, look. Yeah, I'm gonna try and censor my tongue because believe me, it'll come out way too aggressive. But Hertz decided they were gonna. Couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, Hertz announced that they were gonna buy 100,000 electric cars. They've just announced that they're going to sell 20,000. They never got to 100,000. They're going to sell 20,000 electric vehicles into the used market because customer demand and the high cost of maintenance of these cars. So I guess it's $1 lost for Hertz, and
sounds like a lot of dollars lost.
Yeah,
that's a lot of dollars lost.
Yeah,
that's true. All right, Mr. Nick. What do you got for us today from the land down under? Close enough.
Yeah, so the land down under. I'm wanting to share my screen here, Mr. Stephen. I just want to quickly show share screen. And I'm going to do this, share this one here. So can you see now?
Nope.
No.
But that's okay.
You
may just have to tell us about it. We'll have David teach you how to do this for next week.
There we go. We're going to share this whirlwind. Can you see now? There we go.
We will in a second. There you go.
You see liquid fruit?
Yeah, we see it.
There we go. So one of the big things in branding is changing product or changing packaging. And recently, over sort of the last 6 months or so, Liquid Fruit has changed the packaging. And interestingly, packaging is quite a niched art when designing it. So from an emotional connection point of view, and then also from a consistency point of view, because when you walk because there's so many brands out there, you walk into any retail store, you need to be able to be recognized immediately. And once you've got clients to recognize your brand, the last thing you want is to damage that reputation. And one of the psychologies behind brand recognition is 70-30 rule. So 70% you need to keep everything the same, and 30% you want to change. In this particular case, this brand literally changed it so much. You can see from left to right. Left was the original, right was the new. That they lost 30% revenue or 30% income revenue generation purely because clients couldn't recognize their brand. So
yeah, that's a big loss.
Big time.
All right.
Painful.
Indeed.
All right, Mr. Michael, what do you have for us?
Well, it doesn't matter how many times AI is going to learn how to drive cars. I still like driving cars. And Mercedes-Benz worked with will.i.am, the singer-songwriter and entrepreneur, to develop a very cool technology just announced at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas called Sound Drive. So what you've got is it actually, it's a technology that will modify the songs and music to your driving style and what's actually happening in the vehicle, to your pedal on the foot, your foot on the pedal. And what it ends up doing is it creates this whole experience while you're driving. And it's exclusive to Mercedes. So that's a win for Mercedes, a loss for the rest of us, but definitely a win for those who like to drive.
All right, interesting.
If I was in a Mercedes, I just hear the sort of the requiem, the death requiem. I think.
From the Nazi March. Yeah, that's true. All right, so I have one's really brief. It's for everybody that doesn't know. As of Thursday, the EFTs got approved for Bitcoin, so everybody's going crazy. Bitcoin's all over. I think that's $1 loss, actually, more than a win, because if the SEC doesn't regulate properly and it goes bust, I still think you can lose every penny. And I think if they get it really under, it'll be different. The news that came out today, which I thought was fascinating, is Citibank, or Citigroup as they call themselves, plans to cut 20,000 jobs because it reported that last quarter was its last worst quarter in 15 years.
How is it so bad? We need a Citigroup insider to tell us the story on that.
So is that good news for Banking America, or is that bad news for Banking America?
You know what's really funny? I think for the people that work there, it's terrible news. But I think overall, it's probably really good news, because I think it's starting. When we were on Wall Street in the 80s, we used to say, there was 50,000 houses. There's only like 10 left. And I think what's going to end up happening is the nutrition, there's only going to be a major X amount left. There's a pro and a con to that. But I think overall, it might not be bad news. I think there's just too much BS out there. Everyone's trying to put deals together that shouldn't be together because they're all trying to make money. I'm not saying and Goldman's noted for that, but I think Citibank maybe now will define what they really do and maybe try to do it better. Maybe for them, it actually is $1 found. I'm hoping for them.
We'll see.
So,
yeah. Time will tell.
If not, then was good. All right, David, we're all buckled in. Who's saving what from what planet today?
$1.
That was good.
Company called Grablock.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Founded in 2019. And it's developed a self-built timber frame construction method, which looks a bit like, really, Lego. It's a flat back kit. They've done about 45 projects to.
Yeah, we get the gist. We're not the sound bad, but it's basically Lego. I've seen this about a week or two ago. But it's Lego blocks, for the people that don't know, little Lego blocks to build your own home, office complex, or whatever it might be. And the technology is fascinating.
Yeah, but where are they doing this? Where are they doing it? And is it regulated at all?
Yeah, it's all regulated. It's this with a bit of luck, it should load up somewhere else, because it's a terrible feed that comes through. Yeah, it is. Is that they've been doing a remarkable job with it. It's the thing is that basically the groundwork has to be put in, the foundations and the ground floor. Then you put this product on top of it, and then somebody comes on and puts a roof and the plumbing and electricity and everything else. So really, it just takes the time factor out of the middle aspect of it. And it also, bricklayers are very expensive, very difficult to find. And this is a way of, really within about 6 days, you could have a house going towards being waterproofed. Just literally 6 days, walls up.
Wow, that's an amazing savings of time.
And put a roof over the top. Yeah, so that's for me, it was definitely a found dollar. I thought I'd be able to get it up through the feed here, but I can't. But this one hopefully will load, but it will take us all off the screen. But yeah, it's a Belgian thing, and there's a big issue here because there's an issue of there's nowhere to go. People can't find land. If they find land, they can't find a builder. If they find a builder, they can't find land. And this, I think, would be a good solution to that, and also a good solution to, let's say, to asylum seekers and this sort of thing. If we've got time, it's just loaded. I'll just run the
Sure.
film.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I think I would love for them to see it.
This is my found dollar. It's a Belgian startup company called Grablock, founded in 2019. And it's developed a self-build timber frame construction method, which looks a bit like, really, Lego. It's a flat back kit. They've done about 45 projects to date. And the last project they did, it took them 6 days to build a model home. That's not including, of course, the roof and the plumbing and everything else goes with it, but just the basic frame in 6 days. What a product, what a way to solve all these housing problems.
Very cool. Very cool.
$1 there.
Guys, it's almost like the 3D housing, the machine that builds your house 3D,
Yeah,
the 3D printing housing. It's the same thing. And that house they built for like 40 grand.
The problem with the 3D printing, of which I'm also a big fan of, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but the problem is that concrete is incredibly, it's probably one of the worst products on the planet for pollution and climate issues.
So something I would
also,
like. Okay.
Yeah, but it's also one of
You're an
those, it's also one of those
accelerationist,
really,
right?
one of those really marvelous products as well on the other side.
Right.
So, yeah.
I like it. But it was David, that was very cool. Not like
Okay.
that
Well
little
done.
card
Yeah.
you showed us last week.
So-
Well done, my friend. Well
so-
done.
Who doesn't like Legos?
Yeah, sorry about the for the people who are watching that we couldn't get it up properly the first time round.
Whoa. Calm down there, big guy.
It's at my age, it's always a problem. That's what
There you go. So, well,
And
this
on
is,
that
guys,
note-
this should, on that note, this was a very fun show. Thank you for all being here. I don't think we have a guest next week, but the
Nope.
following week, we actually may have a guest because
Stay
we are
tuned.
going to on Saturday morning. Our schedule is going to be Lost Dollar Business Club, No Snobs or Knobs, and we have an AI show coming. And we may actually have the gentleman from the AI show as a guest to discuss gaming and AI. And then we will air his show. His show will come on. So Saturday is going to be kind of our business political day, it looks like, coming up in the next couple of weeks. So that'll
Sounds
be kind of
good.
fun.
Let's be a part of
it'll
it.
be kind of fun.
Loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody, thank you for watching. We love it. I hope you enjoyed the Scotch. Don't worry, we won't do another Scotch thing on Lost Dollar. We'll do them on No Snobs or Knobs because it's a business that I thought it would be interesting.
It is an interesting business.
And it's a very, if you go online and look at their model, I sent the link to our guys. When you look at their public company, it's fascinating, like the numbers. And I'm like, wow, there's like money in this. But, the average person today can't go what they did 20 years ago to a distillery and go, I want to buy a full cask because they're already spoken for, whether it's to the retail side or to these clubs. So it's very cool that these guys said, hey, let's go do this. And then came up with a business idea. Now, 20 years later, they have 40,000 members around the world.
First to market.
And you're one of them.
That's always
I am one of them. And that's why I figured like you like something, you got to tell people. So there you go.
That's right.
Guys, it's always a pleasure. We'll see you all next
All right.
week.
All next
Have a
week.
good Saturday.
Bye-bye.
Take care.